The history and future of chamber music. Chamber music is a form of classical music composed of a small group of instruments. Each instrument has a different part, and they all can fit in a palace chamber, and that's where the name came from. Chamber music originated from sonata da camera, chamber sonata, and sonata da chiesa, church sonata. They both had slow and fast movements. However, sonata da camera also had dance tunes. They evolved into trio sonata in the Baroque era. It usually had 2 treble and 1 bass. Baroque era in chamber music, each instrument contributed equally to the melody. They all played a complex, interwoven fabric of sound. During the Baroque period, chamber music as a genre was not clearly defined. Often works could be played on any variety of instruments in orchestral or chamber ensembles. The art of fugue by Johann Sebastian Bach, for example, can be played on a keyboard instrument or by a string quartet or a strings orchestra. The late 18th century witnessed the Gallant movement. It was in opposition to strict Baroque style. It had light, elegant tunes and melodies. A new custom gave birth to a new form of chamber music, the serenade. Patrons invited musicians to play evening concerts in their homes. They required musicians to compose dance and nice tunes. An example of such musicians is Joseph Haydn. Though not the only composer who composed for chamber music, Joseph Haydn is credited with modern chamber music, as he composed conversational style. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart greatly expanded chamber music with numerous masterpieces. Mozart gave the strings an independent role, using them as a counter to the piano, and adding their individual voices to the chamber music conversation. The 19th century witnessed the collapse of the aristocratic system, which used to support musicians, who now started composing for public in halls. For that, luthiers improved violin, viola, and cello to have richer and louder sound. We also see a longer bow and the usage of pianoforte. Beethoven rose as the giant of the Western music in the 19th century. He transformed chamber music with dramatic deviations. One example is the manipulation of tempo and independence of strings like cello. This shows even in his formal debut as a composer in the piano trio Op. 1, No. 3 in C minor. The Romantic era emerged. Schubert helped to establish it using chamber music, devoting most of his life to it. At that time, Felix Mendelssohn and Schumann brought back the fugue and used cyclic structure, reusing themes from one movement to the next. The public embraced the art of chamber music. Amateurs, quartet societies sprang up throughout Europe, sponsoring house concerts. And even with amateurs, professionalism increased in concerts. Chamber music was being composed increasingly, and thousands of compositions from different composers emerged. In the 20th century, Brahms expanded the structure and harmony, challenging traditional tonality. For example, his second string sextet, Op. 36, opens with G major. By the third measure, it's already the unrelated E-flat major. Other composers also departed chamber music from rules of classical harmony. An example is Debussy's string quartet, Op. 10, freeing chamber music from previous rigidity. Dvorak added his native Bohemian sound. Smenta incorporated Czech rhythms and melodies, while Tchaikovsky uses Russian folk music. In the 21st century, composers use new timbres such as theremin and synthesizers. With the development of new technology, sometimes people make ensembles using Skype. You can even make an ensemble with yourself using a video editing program. Now millions of people listen to chamber music and still play it for pleasure at homes. Thanks to them, chamber music is alive.